Hey, I'm Jason from Fuzzlord Effects, and today in this video we're going to be checking out 10 different amplifiers that would be great for the bedroom guitar player. So we're going to check out 5 amps that have the amp and the speaker all in one, called a combo. And we're also going to check out 5 amp heads, so you could use different speaker cabs or run it into a load box to record into your DAW. I try to do a nice mix of more affordable budget amps that might be good for the entry-level guitar player, somebody just getting into it, or somebody on a budget. And then a few more that are higher end and a bit more expensive. This is just my top 10 list, so be sure to drop a comment below if I missed something that you think people should know about. This video came up on the Patreon page. Some folks were talking about how it'd be great to see a video about bedroom guitar amps. And then over on the Discord server, some folks gave me some ideas. So a couple of these amps came from the Discord chat. Don't go anywhere. We're starting right now. So when I started thinking about amps for this video, the Crush 20 was the first thing that came to mind. I've known quite a few people that have had these amps, and I've got to play through them, and they sound really good. And 20 watts, honestly, is plenty for playing at home, in your bedroom, in the garage with friends, stuff like that. So it definitely has enough power to have some fun with. I was checking out the product description because I was kind of wondering why I've known a couple beginner guitar players that got this amp and they were totally confused by it. And then after we talked about it and checked it out and I tried to explain a couple things, it all made sense. But I was checking out the product description. And basically, this practice amp has everything that other practice amplifiers lack. Responsive overdrive, detailed saturation, powerful analog circuits. So I read through this and I was like, wow, this isn't very helpful, is it? So here's why I like this amp. It has a headphone output, so you can plug in some headphones and practice like late at night when people are sleeping. And it turns the speaker off, and that makes it really, really useful. You know, so it's a 20 watt amp that's plenty loud enough to play in your apartment, in the garage with friends, stuff like that. But you can also use it as like a nighttime headphone amp for practicing, stuff like that. It does have an auxiliary input, so you could plug audio from your phone in or something like that, so you could play along 2 songs, for example, for practicing, and then it would also be coming through the same speaker as your guitar, which is pretty cool. I haven't tried it out. If you wanted to play loud through the amp practicing guitar and you wanted just like the music from your iPhone, you didn't have a different speaker set up, on the clean channel with the switch over here, you have a volume control, and it's going to be clean. So you get your volume control, and then the bass, middle, and treble tone controls. And where it gets a little confusing for folks that haven't had a lot of experience with guitar amps is when you click on the dirty channel, the clean volume control that you were used to using no longer does anything. And now you kind of get 2 volume controls, the gain control and the dirty control, which is like the master volume. So the deal with the dirty channel on amps is when you turn up the gain, it's going to get louder, but also more overdriven or distorted. That's where the master volume control over here on the left side comes into play. So if you want to get like a heavy distortion tone, play along to some metal music, you can crank up the gain and then turn the master volume over here really low, and get that overdriven sound without being like ear-piercingly loud. Or you can turn it up. So when you kick on the dirty channel, you gotta adjust the master volume, the dirty volume over here, and the gain to your liking. Alright, the second amp we're checking out today is the Fender Blues Junior 15 watt. It's a 1x12 combo. These are a really great tube amp that is perfect for bedroom playing, but definitely loud enough to play some shows with, and they got a really good tone. So the amplifier portion of the circuit is all tube, and these have a spring reverb built in with the amp that is driven by a couple op amps. Takes pedals well. These are really popular in like the blues guitar kind of scene, or like indie rock, shoegaze, that kind of stuff. They're not the heaviest sounding amplifier. Like, they got a lot of clean headroom, and they got 3 band tone controls for the bass, middle, treble. I was actually curious about what made these tick, and what that fat control was doing. So overall, the preamp of these looks like they were modeling it after like a Fender Bassman, but it does not have the buffer before the tone stack to drive it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think this is probably one of the coolest bedroom amps you could get if you like clean tones. And actually a lot of the there's quite a few metal and like sludge metal dudes that play rolling jazz choruses. I believe some of Metallica's clean tone with a chorus was using a jazz chorus too. This is a newer jazz chorus that is a lower wattage. It's a 30 watt solid state guitar amp, and it's got 2 6.5-inch speakers in it. These have a really classic sounding chorus circuit built in, and if this is like, the older ones had the speakers kind of tilted in a little bit, so there's a little bit of phase canceling with the speakers. This is a stereo amplifier, so you can run like stereo reverb and stuff like that into it with the left and right channels, which is really unique with these Roland amplifiers. Next up, I picked out the Fender Deluxe Reverb. Possibly more power than you need for bedroom playing, honestly, but I just picked this one out because I really like the way this amp sounds in general, especially thinking of like smaller wattage combo amps that would be like easy to move around, but definitely like loud enough for home playing. And I kind of thought if somebody was had a bunch of guitar pedals and really wanted a good sounding tube amp with some different options out of it, like the vibrato and the reverb, that the Fender Deluxe Reverb is one of my personal favorite smaller wattage combo amps. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Maybe what you think the best Fender combo amp is, and also just best your thoughts on what the best bedroom amps are. Last up on the list for combo amps that are lower wattage and good to play like at home, it's gonna be the Boss Katana 50 watt. I picked the 50 watt even though there is some smaller wattage versions of this amp available now, because it's just such a good price. Like, if you were buying an amp that maybe you wanted to play at home and also be able to play like in a band or something, and you were on a budget, this is a lot of amp for the price. Especially if you didn't have like some big pedal collection but you wanted to mess around with some effects. They have quite a few built-in effects, and if you're gonna trust built-in effects from anybody, I think you can definitely trust Boss. This is the orange OR15, and the first amp head that we'll be checking out that I think would be pretty awesome for bedroom guitar playing at like lower volumes. So it's a 15 watt head, and it definitely has the orange amp sound. Master volume control, gain control, and a 3-band bass, middle, treble tone stack. I just noticed recently on an orange amp that I was playing that the bass controls on the right and the treble is on the left. Why does orange do this to me? And you. And everybody. Sorry, I just am not used to that. Great sound amp. I think Fuzz Drones did a demo video on this amp recently, or maybe it was the OR30. But either way, this is a great sounding lower wattage all tube amp head. Take pedals well, it's got quite a bit of gain in it already, and it's also just super cool looking. Next up is the Marshall SC20H Studio Classic. It's going to be based off the JCM 800, but a 20 watt amp, or you can switch it down to 5 watts. So if you're into like the heavier metal tone and want like a really good tube distortion, like the JCM 800, just want to drive it with a tube screamer and be able to play at home, and you got a little 1x12 or 2x12 cab, this is a really cool amp. So 3 12AX7s and 2 EL34s, so really nice tube selection, and a great sounding amplifier. Not the cheapest, but if you just wanted to nail that JCM 800 100 watt tone, but at like bedroom volumes, this would be a pretty cool amp head. Alright, I haven't got to play one of these yet, but I would like to, and I'd also like to know if you've played one and your thoughts on it. This is the Salono Slow Mini 30. It's an all solid state amp head, modeled after the Salono Slow, the Super Lead Overdrive 100. So, if you're not familiar, Salono started off modding high gain Marshall amps into higher gain Marshall amps, and then eventually got into producing his own line of Salono amplifiers that have always been revered as badass metal amps that are built really well. So this is a solid state version, 30 watts, and a really good price. Definitely one to check out. This is a 30 watt all tube guitar amp head, and from what I understand is based off of the Laney supergroup. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you want something lower wattage and budget's not really part of what you're thinking about when you're shopping for an amp head, this would be a really awesome home amplifier that's actually plenty loud enough to play in most bands. Alright, the last amp on the list today is the Hiwat High5. It's an all-tube amplifier using a 12AX7 and an EL84. It's got a clean volume and also a gain with the master volume, and then like a simple 2-band bass treble tone stack. I'm curious, I haven't seen the schematic for this one, but I'm curious to know if they're using more like the orange style tone stack like the old school James, or if this is a Fender style 3-band bass metal treble with just the middle control fixed. It has an auxiliary input, so you can like plug your phone or something else in to pump in some music to play along to. And yeah, just wanted to share this last one that was a bit lower volume, and this one's from Motor City Guitars. They actually carry Fuzzlord pedals, so if you're in the area, stop by, check out some Fuzzlord stuff. Okay, that was the top 10 bedroom guitar amps with a little jump scare appearance from Count Barkula here, right? You hopped in this video, dude. He hopped in. Drop a comment below. I'm curious to know if I missed any amps that you think should have been in this video. Again, this was just my top 10 list, but I definitely put some thought into it. Trying to think of different style guitar players, maybe somebody just getting into guitar that doesn't have a bunch of effects pedals, might like the Boss Katana, or somebody that has a bunch of effects and let's say a bit bigger of a budget, maybe the Fender Deluxe Reverb, something like that. So I want to give a big thank you to all the names that are running on the screen right now. These are all the folks that support what I do here on the YouTube channel. And, you know, every once in a while, Jimmy gets some puppy ice cream right from Patreon. That's for you, dude. That's for you. So big thank you to everybody that helps support the page. If you want to know more info about that, there's links in the description, as well as the Discord server where a bunch of us chat on the daily. Also want to give a big special thank you to Jonas, Jacob, Veuslavic, and Corey, who are big, longtime supporters of the Fuzzlord Effects YouTube channel through the Patreon page. They be providing these pup cups to Mr. Jimmy, Count Barkula. So I appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the videos that we put out. And I'll talk to you in the comments. For the first week or so when these videos come out, I try to be up on the comments and respond to everybody. So from me and Jimmy, thanks for watching.